Wait. Okay. I'll be honest now. We are recording. I have now, and we can curse.
Okay.
I don't know, Emma, if I warned you that we can curse, but we can. So I fucked this up. I don't know how many times now, at least 3. So I have Emma Elizabeth Steiger with me in person.
Nailed it.
Thank you. And Steiger is an easy name to say.
Now it is.
And so is Emma and Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
And you're here because your film, Wait to Tell Mother, was just at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in December of last year. You took home the Grand Jury Award for Best Screenplay for a Short Film for Emma Elizabeth Steiger. Mm-hmm. For you.
For me.
And you also got 2 more awards. You got the Grand Jury Awards decided by the Selection Committee. Then you got the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Short Film Drama and the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Director of a Short Film Drama for you. And you seem like a thorough person who knows this, but I'll say it for everyone that the Filmmakers Awards are decided by alumni, by your peers, active filmmakers choosing those. So I think they mean a lot.
No, they do mean a lot. I mean, so frequently we're rejected in this industry. So to be recognized in any capacity is amazing, let alone with like an official selection. But to have those awards was like incredibly meaningful. Nice.
Excellent. And it meant a lot to me because, as you know, your film means a lot to me. We had conversations at the festival. And I admit, I'm not lying, I love all the films in the festival. I mean, because we get like more than 700 film submissions.
I'm sure.
And so the top 65 really are fucking great.
Yeah.
And I do love them all, way more than I love the, quick math, 640 that didn't get it.
Sure.
But yours is special to me because it's a father-daughter story, and that means a lot to a father like myself. So anyway, honored to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I assume, are you still on the festival circuit with it?
We're finishing our festival circuit. We started about a year ago at Dances with Films New York. Like it was December of 2024. So we'll be kind of rounding it out in the next few months.
Excellent. Well, when you do release it online, wherever you choose to put it, feel free to fire an email over with a link so that we can put a clickable link in the show notes for people to watch it. They should watch it, and we will discuss it. And I might even do the silly thing of because I watched it last night with my wife. Because I said to my wife last night, "Oh, tomorrow." I look at my calendar the night before, and I'm like, Emma Elizabeth Steiger is coming over,
Nailed it.
and I said, "Do you remember that film?" And she's like, she watches a lot of them with me, but she didn't see yours. So we watched it together last night. And then we did debate something in it. So I might ask you to settle the debate.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
But in the meantime, as you know, this podcast is all about the people the indie filmmaker. So do you want to share what got you into writing and directing? We chatted a little bit, so I know you've got a bit of a past that includes tennis. I'm just going to tell everyone, by the way, we have not just the same hometown of Los Angeles, but the same neighborhood of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So
Valley kids.
We were Valley, and we both played tennis in the Valley growing up.
Yeah.
Which means you have no problem surfing into the sun.
Yeah, exactly. Were you at Weddington? R.I.P.
Yes.
Were you at Weddington?
That was my home court for my high school team.
That was my home court. Not for my high school team, but just where I played.
Yeah, I played there. I took lessons at Studio City Park when I was about 8. Or so, and they were like $10 an hour.
Oh yeah, I wish I could say mine was that affordable.
Yeah, this was like 1970 something. But
sure.
But yeah, I know Weddington's gone.
I know. R.I.P.
Harvard Westlake. What are you
How
gonna
dare
do?
they? My rival high school.
That
was Campbell Hall.
Campbell. That's right. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we won't bore everyone in the world with Studio City stories.
Sure.
But it still means a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of my history.
Hometown. All right. So. You want to share? Were you always a creative kid?
Oh yeah. I think my parents put me into like every place that they could put me. They put me in dance, they put me in tennis, they put me in soccer, they put me in voice lessons, they put me in drama class. I feel like there were like much more random extracurriculars as well. Like I said, I had some hamsters, like I loved animals, like I was all over the place. But in the most LA way, I think I discovered that I wanted to be on the arts because my dad was in it. As we talked about earlier, my dad was a writer and producer. And so I didn't go to set very often, but there was one very formative day where I went to set of his show Diagnosis Murder. And I was on a real chitty chitty bang bang kick at the time. And the star of that show was Dick Van Dyke. And my dad introduced me to Dick Van Dyke, who just celebrated his 100th birthday, famously. And in his white doctor's coat, he started singing and doing the Mary Poppins dance and song for me. And I was like, oh, I have to do this. Like, this is it. Like, it was just like magic. Which of course it was magic. You know, I was like 4 experiencing this, and then they let me be an extra, which I took very seriously. And I like I remember picking my nose like preemptively, like before I was going on, because I didn't want them to see it, you know?
That's actually very thoughtful for a kid.
I know, right? I was like, God forbid the camera picks up my boogers. But so I knew that I wanted to be an actor early, much to, I think, both of my parents' dismay. Not that they were ever not supportive of it, but I think my dad was just like, this is a hard industry. And then I was interested in directing and producing really when I was in high school. I had a class called theater production. And so I really only studied it within the theater space. And then when I went to college, I was a triple concentration in theater with a minor in dance education and arts administration. And so my triple concentration was acting, directing, performance studies. So I think that my life was always planned out to be doing all of the things. I started doing that early.
And in your case, it might have been difficult to do anything else. Not even because your parents, but also like, okay, so it's called Studio City, and there's a studio there, and where you live, you know, across the street from my childhood home was the guy who ran the boom mic. He was the boom mic operator for the Newhart show.
Yeah.
Like,
I think you're surrounded by it when you grow up in Los Angeles, and it's something that I'm like grateful for in positive and negative ways, right? Like I saw some harder parts of the industry very, very early on, and that made me incredibly resilient. And the fact that I like pushed through that, I saw the grimy stuff, or I saw the more difficult things, or I got rejected a lot as a child. It made me really strong, and it like is a testament to wanting to do this. And so I feel grateful. I feel grateful for that. But I also was just like, I think I loved creating. Like I remember putting on, like recreating musicals I had seen with my best friend in our living room and like insisting my parents watch the entire thing, you know, like a glimpse of the beginning of Wait to Tell Mother is me, younger me, singing a song from a musical called the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, and it's a very inappropriate song. But I was just like, I memorized those. I was like living for performing show tunes. And I think in some ways it was because it was an escape, and in some ways it was just, it made me feel so good, and I felt such meaning in every story being told. And I think at a certain point it shifted to, and I think it was when I was like in my 20s living in New York, where I was like, oh, the things that I'm finding meaning in other people's stories, I could do that. I have meaning in the stories that I want to tell. And so I started writing in more of like a moth style. And then when my dad passed away in March of 2021 was the first time I like really looked at a script and was like, okay, I think like maybe I could write a script instead of just like some stories.
Right. So you had been writing stories and things, and perform and doing a lot of stage performance
and directing, like
directing,
but in theater.
But you didn't write plays for fun. You weren't writing.
I remember like being maybe 8 years old and opening my dad's like final draft, like one of the original final drafts, and writing a script that was probably like 30 pages that I was so proud of being 30 pages. And it was definitely about the drama on the playground at school at the time. And I think I like used the word ass, and I felt so proud of it. And then my dad looked at it and he was like, why are you using this word? I think it's funny in retrospect, obviously, but that was the only time I can remember like writing a script. Like I get so caught up in like, is this the right format? You know, people go to school for that. And then, and so the first script that I actually like worked on was adapting the last feature my dad wrote before he passed away. I adapted into a short as like a proof of concept. And that was called Runaways. And then on the flight back from filming Runaways in Los Angeles and actually in Santa Clarita, I wrote Wait to Tell Mother. And like I wrote it, and like the way that we shot it was exactly what I wrote on that, May Day in 2023.
Right. And that, instead of being an adaptation, that was something very personal that you were
Totally
getting out onto the page.
Yeah. I mean, I live in memory a lot. I bounce around from memory to memory. I think some people call that flooding. I think that's the psychological term, maybe. Maybe not. But I definitely go from like thinking about one thing and then that memory will spark another memory. And that is very much kind of what was happening, obviously, in this short film.
Yeah, actually, it does that nicely. I actually want to back up a little bit and ask, in high school, you had a specific production class and things. And then, so when it came time for college, like you focused on a school that would have that kind of program.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't.
And where'd you end up going?
I went to Muhlenberg College, which was 2,100 kids, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Like, I went to Campbell Hall for 13 years, kindergarten through 12th grade. So I don't think I would have done great at a big school. I think I would have been overwhelmed.
But you went across the country, which I think that's courageous.
Oh, totally. I mean, I had grown up going back and forth to New York. My dad was from New York. I went to summer camp in New York, performing arts camp in New York. But I don't know. I applied to 22 schools when I went to college. Like, I did not know what it was that I was looking for. Like, some of them were intense conservatory musical theater programs. Some of them were like liberal arts that gave me the opportunity to do everything. And by the time that I was getting into schools, I think I had come to the conclusion that like Muhlenberg was just the best fit for somebody like me who wanted to do it all. And they allowed me to. Like, I created a devised theater piece that they had never done that at that school. And they allowed me to like take an abandoned frat house and fill each room with a different definition of love based on interviews I conducted for 2 years. Like, they were supportive of, more experimental pieces like that. And if I had gone to an NYU or a Carnegie Mellon, I just wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah. And did you visit first or?
Yeah.
Because, right, isn't it so, and I say this, I've said it too much on the podcast lately, but as the dad of a college freshman.
Sure.
No, I mean, I was a broken record saying you don't know till you step on the campus.
Oh,
but
yeah.
as soon as you step on the campus, every campus has a feel and you just know which is home to you.
Yeah. And my dad also was like, he wanted me to go to college with a campus. He's like, you can go live in New York after you graduate college, but if you go to NYU, you're not going to have like the college experience. And he like really kind of honed that into me. And I didn't know what that meant at the time, but then I went and lived in New York for, 7 years and I understood it like very clearly. And I'm really happy I did that because I think it just further encouraged me not pigeonholing myself into one area.
Yeah. And the college experience still was focused on directing and live performance.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, do you think you avoided screenwriting in a way because that was Dad's territory?
Totally. I definitely, and I think I said that out loud many times where I was like, that's my dad. My dad's a writer. My sister's also a writer. Like, she's an amazing poet. She's a published poet, but she also was writing scripts at the time. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm really good at analyzing scripts. I'm really good at like giving people notes on scripts, and like breaking it down. But I felt like, I don't know. I just struggled. Like I said, I got stuck on like formatting. And I think at the time was like, I have nothing to write about. I also wasn't in therapy at the time. So boy, when I started therapy, did things start clicking. But yeah, I had a moment of like, I think when I found power in my voice and my stories through the kind of, storytelling moth style, that's when I was like, okay, who cares about format? Let's just see what happens. I have an eye for film. I have an eye for the creative aspect of this. So maybe I just word vomit on a page and see what happens.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
We shot that.
For sure. And by the way, so you mentioned your sister, because I almost asked the sibling question and
Sure.
I backed off. This is a flaw of mine. I always got to ask birth order.
Oh, I'm the youngest. My family story is wild. My sister is 18 years older than me by 1 day. So I'm February 9th and she's February 10th. My brother is 16 years older than me. They were from my mom's first husband. And then I am the only child of my mom and dad, obviously born way later in the order because it took my parents 9 years to have me. And then they stopped trying. And then miraculously, I was born when my mom was 44 and my dad was 53. So I'm the baby.
Yeah,
but
very much.
I've never felt like
even though you have siblings for sure, but your youth you were alone.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have. That's why a best friend was pulled on to like for performances in the living room, because you can't. When you're 5, you can't say to a 23-year-old, perform with me.
Yeah, they did not enjoy that as much as like my best friend Camille and I did, you know?
It might have just been like an extra uncle and aunt in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like that. Like they were in and out of the house during the time that I was growing up. And so they were there, but I felt like when they were there and when I was with my family, I actually felt like I was expected to be more of an adult, like take a seat at the adults table. And so having that time to perform with my friend, like that was the time to be a child.
It's true, actually. Only children, and you had a bit of an only child experience. Only ours as an only child, and they learn to relate to adults early. Mm-hmm. Early. And then, in fact, ours, even when she graduated high school, she said, I want a dinner party with your friends
for
my graduation.
That's
and
literally
she chose
me.
which of our friends, right? So it was like a whole thing of like, she's been relating to adults all the time.
Yeah. And I think that is like, that's something I've wanted to like start mulling on and start writing about a little bit, because it's something that I'm actively processing right now, and so that's helpful for me. But yeah, it's a tricky thing to like be a young kid and navigate, like also trying to fit in with the adults.
It's it is a thing. And so, all right, so you've mentioned the university, and then did you go to New York right after it?
I literally moved to New York the day I graduated college.
And actually, I don't know where that college is located.
Oh, Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, you did tell me. You did tell
Yeah.
me. Okay. So you literally were like, okay.
Yeah, and
you
you
didn't even think about coming home.
Oh, no. I like knew the goal was always New York. Mostly for performance. Like I was
going to say for theater and dance?
For theater. Like I just like loved theater.
Was dance still, or was it all acting?
Yeah. I mean, I was like a really intense ballet dancer for, you know, the first 22 years of my life, you know?
You're setting me up for my usual joke, which, that means that the whole acting thing feels uncompetitive.
Well,
because nothing is as competitive as ballet. There have been so many ballet veterans on this podcast who have moved in, you know, they'll like go to UCB and be like, oh yeah, that's not competitive compared to ballet school.
Oh no. I mean, like I love ballet in so many ways. Like it taught me so much. It taught me so much about structure, and it also like broke my body and my mind in a lot of ways. But I also think that's about like where you are trained, and when you are trained in like an intense environment, it just messes you up. I think there is a gentler way, and I found that in college, thankfully, but I think there's a gentler way to coach through ballet, and I just don't think a lot of people experience it.
For sure. All right, so straight to New York. You graduate and you go directly to New York.
Yeah. I moved there the day I graduated. I had interned over the summer. Like I'd worked for an education nonprofit, loved it, thought I wanted to be in arts education for a really long time. And then somebody said something really wise, which is, well, if you want to be in arts education, you kind of have to give up your career as an actor, you know, because you have to do it for the kids, not for you. And I just admitted that like I wasn't ready to do that. Like I love working with children, and I love the opportunity to provide arts education to kids who can't afford it. And I'll do that in any way I can. But I was like looking at becoming like a programming head for one of those organizations. So I didn't do that, started working in restaurants as most people do, but ended up like finding a career in fine dining as like a director of guest relations while hitting the streets, auditioning, trying to book jobs, all of those things.
Right, because in New York, in Manhattan, the word expensive is a different level. So a restaurant that is at that level actually has a staff member whose job is to
facilitate guest experience and like make sure people are happy.
Just make sure, and like do the research on the people who've made reservations and things, that.
Yeah, so I literally had to Google every guest. It was crazy. It was crazy.
But talk of that, that's really good preparation.
Oh, I mean, it was amazing. And also like, I don't know. It was just, one, it keeps you on your toes. Two, you study human beings. Like, what an amazing study in like sociology.
And that restaurant's putting on a performance.
Yeah. Every day. Like literally, like people watch The Bear. People are obsessed with The Bear. I get mad at The Bear because it doesn't show every element of that story. Even though they have like one of my old bosses is a consultant on that show. And I just go like, there is a glamorization of that industry that there are such beautiful elements. Like there's this metaphor of being the swan, right? Which is gliding over, never letting anybody see how fast your feet are moving. And I think that is like a perfect way to sum up what fine dining is. But then like nobody ever like checks in to make sure your feet are okay, you know? And it's, I don't know. It was a great exercise for somebody who had like come from a really structured background, especially with ballet. But it also made me like not feel like myself at a certain point, because I was just like performing for my job, but like not in the fun way all the time. Like it was like appeasing people who were not nice. And eventually I got rid of that. Eventually I found places that were like okay with me being like, oh no, you're going to be rude to me. Like I'm not going to put up with that actually, because I'm a human.
Right. That's great development. That's great personal development.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a weird thing. And it was a weird thing also to deal with during COVID too.
Oh, you were there for that.
Oh, the COVID.
But you got out of college before COVID.
Yeah. I graduated in 2017.
Nice. Got a graduation.
Yeah, I got a graduation.
Actually, you were fine. You were 3 years ahead of it.
Yeah, I did grad school callbacks though during COVID. I went to final callbacks for NYU's acting department, which I actually like all of this. I look back and I go like, man, time, when you look back on time, you just go like, oh, the universe is so real, you know? Not to sound like the most Los Angeles person ever, but I did NYU acting callbacks, got to the final round for them on Zoom in March of 2021. Was like convinced that this was my end all be all. I only applied to that program. I was like obsessed with getting in. And then I did the final callback. The night of my final callback is when I found out that my dad was in the hospital. The next day I flew home to LA, and a week later he passed away. And then I didn't get in, and I go, I think that was a blessing. I think that was a blessing because those programs tear you down to build you back up. Excuse me. And I was already in a place where that was happening. I didn't need that. I didn't need encouragement to do that at all.
Right. Nice. And, well, I assume if you were applying to that program, while you were doing the restaurant thing, you were pursuing acting the whole time. Were you doing the Broadway, the audition grind?
Oh yeah. No, 100%. And I was like, I had like so many like, I almost made it. Like I had my final callbacks for different Broadway shows. Like right before COVID hit, I was at like the peak of like, I was going to make it. And then COVID hit and I go, you know, but it made me turn inward. It made me like focus on me. So it made me write more. And I think that's kind of encouraging to where I am today. I'm like primarily writing a lot right now.
Right. So that made you write more. Right. So you returned home to Los Angeles right then, like during that NYU process, as you said.
I flew home when my dad passed away. I was here for 2 months in Sherman Oaks, literally right over there. And I was here for 2 months. I went back to New York for, I guess, 2 more years after that. But when I came back that time, I was like, I think it might be time to start considering moving home. Like I didn't really feel connected to Los Angeles. My identity was like so into being a New Yorker. And I thought that I was like much more New York. People still tell me that I'm much more New York than LA, which I take as a compliment sometimes, depending on the day.
Agreed. When I 30 years ago, I can remember being in bars and having New Yorkers come up to me and say, "What borough are you from?"
Oh yeah,
and like that's the best compliment you can get in LA.
Best compliment, literally.
Which is funny.
Best
I should be
compliment.
proud. I should be insulted. I'm like, no. What are you talking about? I'm third generation.
Well, I think it's also like going back to something we were talking about before we started recording, which is like LA gets a bad rap, and the people in LA get a bad rap. So it's kind of like, I'm happy to be identified as New Yorker or as Angelino anytime, but it depends on what you're saying when you're saying it. But yeah, I didn't feel connected to Los Angeles as a city. And I didn't feel connected to it career-wise at that time. And then when I came back, and then especially when I started producing this thing of my dad's, and we shot it out here, I was like, oh, I think I have community. I think I found my artistry here.
I mean, it's really obvious, but that must have been like one of the most powerful things to do after an event like that, to take your beloved father's work and interpret it and repurpose it. Present it to the world. And
it was so wild too. It was like a culmination too of the people I ended up collaborating with were like people from different facets of my life. Like there were people that I went to summer camp with producing it or in it. And then like somebody I went to preschool with who I've known since I was 9 months old ended up directing it, who like loved my dad. Like we grew up together. His dad is also in the industry. His dad ended up playing the lead in it. And it was just like, I don't know. It just felt like it really came together in this very special way.
It's a memorial.
Yeah. And it was, I think, the first time where I started to process my grief, because I was so numb the first year that being on set and creating this thing and then like really truly in a spiritual way, feeling my dad was just crazy.
Our culture, as Americans, I think specifically Americans, we are bred to not process grief. Mm-hmm. We just can't. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, and you can't like prepare for it. Nobody can train you for grief.
No, and like I'm told, like, a friend from France, like, in France you'll just go have a picnic at the cemetery, like you're like the dead are a part of your life.
Yeah.
And for us, it's just this. I mean, and it just, so we just wait till it overwhelms us.
Totally. I mean, I was saying to somebody recently that like, it's going to be year 5 for me in March. And I go, I think I've just now started like really understanding what grief feels like in my body, because I went through those stages that people talk about. I went through numbness and sadness and anger and all of those. And now I'm in this place of like, I think my grief in a lot of ways is a superpower. I'm experiencing something at a really young age that a lot of people my age have not experienced. All my best friends still have their parents, And so how do I use this feeling and create something meaningful and put something out into that world that like people can see and relate to, and also, at least gain empathy for somebody else's experience if they haven't gone through it.
Yeah, for sure. And needless to say, it's so helpful to have art because it's one of the few places we do process it and do get to share it.
Yeah.
And that is, of course, obviously why your film, I think you're 4 for 4 making me cry. I can't get it, but it's just, even last night I was crying, but,
sorry,
I didn't mean to jump to that.
No, it's okay. We can talk about it.
Well, we will. But, all right, so you made that as a short proof of concept short.
Yeah. And then,
but your friend directed it.
Yeah, I did not direct it.
And what was that choice about?
I didn't have experience directing film, so I think there was like a little bit of, I think I was overwhelmed. I was going to be in it, so I think that I didn't want the first time I directed to also be in it.
Pretty high stakes.
It's high stakes, and I did that with Wait to Tell Mother, and I still have things that I look back on that I think about. And then when I thought of Jack, my friend, it just felt so right. Like it was just like his presence as a part of the piece was important, and he is an upcoming director and had been doing a lot of like first work, or was on second unit, and like I wanted to give him an opportunity to also shine, and I think that I knew he would respect and pay homage to my dad's work in this special way, and he did. Like he did a great job. And the genre is like outside of my capacity to it. Like it's thriller, it's murder mystery. Like that is not my brain or my style, but it was my dad's. And so I was like who do I think would do a really good job? And it's like Jack, who works in crime television.
Yeah, because you certainly have a producer's mind.
For sure.
Yeah, because throughout your story, actually, you've in a way been producing a life. Like
Totally.
you make very well-informed decisions, right?
Yeah.
It seems that way.
Yeah. And I mean, I've said when I started producing, especially like full time, because I work for a production company now, and I am a creative producer there, and I go like, I was producing for restaurants the entire time. Like I was opening restaurants. I was producing like service every single night. So without even like the resume experience, like I didn't work as an assistant or in the mailroom at an agency or anything like that. Like I honed that skill set working in hospitality every single night, running a show basically. And so that when I came to set and I could be a producer, and I executive produced the Runaways, which was the proof of concept, but it felt so natural. Because I knew how and where to step in. That I didn't have to think about it.
Yeah, it was not foreign to you at all.
No.
You were home.
Yeah.
that was your home.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Excellent. So it sounds like it went really well.
Yeah, it went really well, and I'm now revisiting that script. I had worked on a rewrite of it, and then I like took a break because I don't think I was actually fully ready to delve into that story, and also the grief that comes along, because that script was a script that I heard growing up. Like I heard it getting pitched, like pitch practice. It went from being a movie to a television show back to a movie, like all of the different, and all I remember thinking about as a kid was like, they better put me in this, which was all I cared about. Now I've 100% out-aged these roles, which I'm fine with. But I spent so much time focused on that, so that when I found the script when he passed away, it was like, it was just like a no-brainer of like, oh, I gotta make this. So I'm looking at rewriting it. Hopefully within this new year, I'll kind of like start to touch it again. I met with somebody who I think could be a really great collaborator on the rewrite, because I also think that I kind of need to pass it along to somebody else for a second, to do notes and revisions, because it's so close to home. And also it feels so weird to alter my dad's work and his writing. Like I did a little bit for the short, but it's just a weird thing to tinker with.
And you knew that was for the short.
Yeah.
So you could give yourself permission there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll wanna pick it back up, but I also think that I got advice from somebody like a few years ago, I guess like right after we made Runaways, where she was like, I think it's amazing that you did this, and I think you need to focus on your stories now. She's like, you think a lot about celebrating your dad, which is true. I think about celebrating my dad all the time. And she was like, but what if you used your voice to do that instead of his voice?
I'm sorry, who gave you this amazing advice?
I'm going to sound so LA. It was my friend Cindy. She's an energy worker. But this is where I go, I'm so woo-woo. Like I saw like psychics and energy workers. I still do.
No, but it doesn't matter. Anyone who says that, whether it's someone who works at a restaurant with you or something,
sure.
that's to tell someone you've done something honorable. Now tell your own story. That's beautiful.
I mean, it's part of how Way to Tell Mother came to be, which is I was like, I can honor my dad and do that, because it's my perspective, and it's not just about our relationship. It's about like how I struggled following his passing without him there, and that was something I was mulling over.
Yeah, I mean, in correct me if I'm wrong, around 11 minutes, you could we kind of get a lifetime.
Yeah. We go back and forth quite a bit.
Yeah.
But 11
which is very cool, and what you said about memory means a lot, because heck, I just want to share it, because I think you'll find it. I just heard a Neil deGrasse Tyson Star Talk podcast with some UCLA neurologist who wrote a book about that our brains are time machines, because we can travel time through memory, and then thinking about the future, and then thinking about the past, and then being in the present. Yeah, we actually can sort of travel time.
Yeah, I mean,
and your film is traveling time.
Yeah, it's so funny. Every time I sit down to write, I always like my brain time travels. It literally does that. I'm not a great meditator, but I did spend the end of December trying to meditate for like 15 days consistently, and I did it. I definitely had what I will bring back as flooding. I definitely had flooding, which was just like all of my memories coming to the forefront of my mind. But it was incredible. Like, I did the meditation and I was looking at what was going on in my life between the ages of 13 and 21. I was looking at like that period of time, which was so formative for me, like so formative. And I started journaling when I got out of meditation. And that immediately, from the kind of memories that were popping up, immediately, like I went from writing like something about, you know, like my mom told me when I was 7 years old that a guy was mean to me, like a kid was mean to me because he liked me. And I'm like, that narrative that gets told to little girls all the time messes us up. Like, I spent a good amount of time, even as an adult, when a guy is mean to me, I kind of accept it because I think it means he likes me, you know? And so I started I wrote that down, and then I started to write about like a recent situation with like an ex-boyfriend or something like that. And just like what I'm willing to accept because of what we're educated on when we're younger. And then of course that started making its way into like script form. And I was like, oh, I could write this. I really want to write about being a young girl. I was a huge liar as a child. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to write about specifically within that. But it's definitely going to be a story around womanhood and like how we shape our identities based on what kind of society tells us they think we should be. But specifically like the way that I was raised in a private school surrounded by celebrities, like, you know, there's something within the performative nature of who I thought I should be that I think is really interesting to reflect back on.
We certainly set expectations on young women that are contradictory at best.
Yeah.
It's very, and it is, and it's society wide, right?
Yeah.
It's, in fact, I will avoid virtue signaling.
Sure.
Although I love it's my hobby. But, so, and then you said, wait to tell mother, it came out in the same way.
Yeah.
And you said on a flight?
Yeah, I was flying back from filming Runaways, and I had been...
So flying back to New York.
Yeah. I was flying back to New York, and I started... I guess it began, like I started writing it, just the kind of the memory sequences. It took two forms, which is like, when we went... I'm like, the timeline is so blurry. Okay, so... A year after my dad passed away, this is where the podcast gets serious. Sorry. A year after my dad passed away, I had to have an abortion, and I was in like a really abusive relationship at the time. And I felt very alone in that process. And the night that I had the abortion was the first night that my dad came to me in a dream. I had spent so many, I guess the previous year being like, when is he going to show up? I so believe in ghosts. Where is he? Why isn't he haunting me? And I took the first abortion pill and I went to sleep. And what feels like a very real memory to me is I heard knocking at my door, and I woke up and I walked down my dark hallway and I opened my door, and my dad was standing there illuminated by light, and he hugged me and we cried, and I woke up. And that happened like a few months before we started the process for Runaways. So I've been thinking about that moment a lot, but I didn't know what to do with that.
Right. So that was a very vivid dream.
Very vivid dream. Like I remember the exact, like everything about that dream to this day.
And dreams are amazing because they're fully sensory.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, and it felt like truly, like when I look back, I go like, I still don't, that had to have been a dream, but it's still, I don't know, it could have been real. I have no idea. And so then when I started writing on the plane, what I started writing was all of these different scenes of like conversations I had with my dad in the car, because my dad and I like would have the craziest conversations in the car. And I now drive that Prius that like I grew up having those conversations in, which is so wild. So when I want to talk to my dad, I talk to him in the car. But I started writing these conversations, and the first one that came out was about my unfortunate erection, and that was the first time I asked what an erection was, and my dad did the best he could, and that immediately made me, like, my brain just jumped forward to thinking about how it's so crazy to have, like, a year after my dad passed away, I get pregnant, And like it just kind of went back and forth between these things. And my dad was like my confidant for all things womanhood when I was growing up. It was such a unique relationship, and it never crossed any like lines or anything like that. He understood the boundary, and also he was the person I could talk to about it. So I started writing like those moments, and then I would jump forward to like, oh my God, like this makes sense if I just like start with finding out I was pregnant. And then like thinking back, like the moment where I call my mom when I'm walking on the Los Angeles River, I remember writing that scene, and then like when she's waiting for the mother's response, like I remember waiting for my mother's response, telling her that I had had sex for the first time. Like there were all of these things that just came in so naturally. And so it was like a no-brainer to write. You know, that's just how my brain works, where I go, oh, this makes me think of this thing. And so that makes sense. And I love a nonlinear time structure, you know?
It's great. For some reason, I have to share this. We don't have to worry about spoilers, right?
No.
Yeah. So I also adore that when the mother says to your character, I know this is the kind of thing you would talk to your dad about.
Yeah.
Like that to me is just such a beautiful moment, because she's I just love that in the whole family it was understood.
Yeah. And it was something that like
it's not mom bad, dad good.
No.
It's mom understood that there's, human being, we have chemistries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it
parents.
was not a secret to anybody that like my dad and I were best friends. Like my best friend Melanie, who's known me since I was 12 years old, like she would be in the car with us when we were singing show tunes, and like she would chime on in, but she just knew my dad and I had this kind of unspoken connection and could really like talk about anything, because I would go to my girlfriends and I'd try to have the same conversations, but there was a level of understanding, and also I think just like honesty that my dad brought to the table that I wasn't getting in other aspects of my life, especially at that time, where I just go like, he is the person who taught me how to be an honest person, especially after being a big liar. Like he told me what honesty was, and that's just how he showed up in the world. He was just like an unbelievable man.
Yeah, and it is natural, and it may. So I just want to add in so that people know, like that mom gets a really nice level of respect in the film.
Yeah.
So when it sounds like you almost wrote it stream of consciousness E.
Yeah.
And then and was it a quick write?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It was. I think I wrote the first draft like on that plane ride. I don't think it took the entire 5 hours or however long that flight was.
That's true. You can get a lot done in 5 hours.
Yeah. I think I wrote it and I was like, that feels really good. And then I like went into my like, is that possible for this to feel as good in this form as it is? So I sent it to one of the guys who had just produced Runaways for me. And I just said, will you read this and you tell me if it's something or if it like has meaning or whatever. And he called me and he was like in tears. And he didn't know my dad. He obviously knew the meaning, and he was like, this is, we can make this for very little money. we can make this though. And then the only thing that changed from the original script was the ending, which was originally I wrote it to be, it was also supposed to take place in New York. So that I guess that changed. But
because you lived there and you figured you would shoot there.
Yeah. And I did not know at the time that I was moving back to Los Angeles.
And you knew for sure you would be playing adult you.
I didn't know. And then it was my DP that actually was like, you have to. And I was like, because I was like, I don't know that I want to direct it and be in it.
It's pretty ambitious
it's a lot.
To wear that many hats.
It's a lot. And
although thankfully you don't have to play yourself at the all the time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
three performers.
100%, which I'm really glad that we did that, because those two young actresses were also like unbelievable. Although it's very weird casting yourself, let alone your parents and your ex-boyfriends. But it was, I think it was like I wrote it to be that I was walking out. The end was like I was walking out. This is going to sound so meaningless, like as I say it out loud, but I was walking out of the apartment and I like went to get on the bike and then like I had headphones in and then My Unfortunate Erection came on. And it just like it didn't carry any meaning at all. I don't know why I kept going back to this song. I think I was looking for some way to communicate to the audience like, oh, our dad's there. And then I was like, oh, but what if he's like, what if we actually hear him? What if we actually hear him? And so we did 3 reshoots of that ending, and I voice memoed my DP who was in Berlin at the time. And I was like, I think I have the ending, and I think we have to shoot me on the bike. I think we have to rig the camera to the bike again, but it's me on it, and it's the same angle we shot the youngest Anna at. And I think it's just me on the bike and we'll see what happens. And so then he came back from Berlin and we rigged the very heavy camera to the bike and I started pedaling and then I thought I was falling. And so the laugh that's like in the end of that movie is me thinking I was falling. And then I said, like, what if we overlap that with Dwayne, who played my dad's, like, I'm here always. And we did that and we watched it and we all immediately started crying.
Yeah, I know. It really is. It really is. You're getting we're taking turns getting red eyes here. And it actually, talk about a beautiful inspiration because it is really meaningful. The bike riding thing is so meaningful.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, you nailed it. You managed to nail it with that memory of, here he is letting you get away from him on the bike, but saying, I'll always be there.
Yeah.
And then just to have that memory. Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
it really is a perfect bookend.
Yeah. It, when we watched that, it just like clicked. And also like my partner scored the film and we sat there. So we were like waiting to insert this ending really so he could like track the entire score. And I just was like, we like watched it and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that holds more. That's it. That's it.
Which is funny because I mean, still the image, by the way, I think I might have been right because in my silly little, when you watch tons of films, we always try to guess how things came together.
Yeah.
And I wondered if the image at the doorway was the first image that inspired the screenplay. And it sounds like you did have the actual dream. So at the very least, the dream really did start it.
It was 100% that. I was waiting for a sign.
And if you'd finished, and if that image at the doorway had been cut to credits, would have been a beautiful ending.
Yeah.
But adding the bicycle thing, it was even better.
Yeah. It didn't feel like the story is complete at that dream sequence, right? Because also I wanted people to know that was a dream. Like in some ways, like I wanted people to understand the element of grief. And also we never in the movie say that the dad has died. And so it was really important for me to, in some way, without treating the audience like they're dumb, but like let them know past that moment, like this is what is happening. This is what grief feels like.
That is very, well, you've had to live among adults all your life.
Yeah.
That's such mature storytelling that you knew you didn't have to talk down to your audience and like have a brief funeral moment or anything.
Yeah.
Although you did have, when mom says you would always talk to your dad about this stuff, I think that's a nice, subtle way for anyone in the audience paying attention.
Totally.
But if they're not paying, audiences don't know.
Yeah, that is kind of the first hint. And then we have the dream sequence and...
It's funny because I thought it was a daydream, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not mad.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. We have the mom's line and that I was like, I hope people get it in that moment. Like we need that. And there was an edit of the film at one point where we didn't cut to her for that line. And I was like, oh, we're missing it. We're missing it. We're missing that line. We're missing the significance of that line. I felt it was really important also to see her based on how she's painted in the earlier aspects of the film, to see her in like, quote unquote present day, because it's a cleaner version, and a present version. And which is what I think allows her to say that line. And so I think that we wanted that, but then the dream sequence I knew had to be present. So I don't know, like there was something about the dream that didn't feel like the ending. So yeah, I don't know. I like, Yeah.
But
It
that's
never
what
occurred to me.
storytelling is. Like, that's the best stories are told. Well, here I am being biased, but the best stories are told that way, from the heart and what feels best. Because when you overthink everything and you over-intellectualize, I won't bother naming the filmmakers who over-intellectualize, but we all look back
Sure.
at their earlier work when it was more inspiring, and we all prefer it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, like, I don't know, the more it goes back into kind of what I was saying earlier about like being young and in college and like, filling an abandoned frat house with like ideas of love. Like these were just things that I like felt in my heart, and I don't feel like I need to please anybody. Like I was doing these things because I felt like there was empathy that could be gained and felt by other people, and also maybe people that have the same questions that I have. And definitely a lot of people out there. I mean, we saw it in the shorts block I screened in because that was kind of a grief-centered block. But there are a lot of people out there who have lost people and are trying to process it in different ways, and have different relationships to the people they lost. And so for me, it's like whether it's like you've lost your father, whether it's you didn't have a great relationship, like the ideal relationship with your mother, whether it's that you lost your parent at a young age, like whatever it may be, that you had an abortion, because we don't see it on screen. Not that we see it on screen, but it's not represented in mainstream media.
But it's also really refreshing the way you present it.
Thanks.
Because, well, why am I hesitant to get political? I mean, because that mifepristone, I can't pronounce, is under attack right now. So to see it portrayed honestly in cinema shows its importance.
And also, matter of factly, like I wish that I knew how many of my friends. This sounds weird the way I'm going to put it, but I wish I knew how many of my friends had gone through that before I went through it, because it would have normalized the process for me. When I started talking to my friends about the fact that I was going to have an abortion, the amount of my girlfriends that either had one, had multiple, had helped a friend through it, like it was crazy, and it was so community building. And I was like, we should be talking about this like we talk about periods. People are still weird about talking about periods, but we should be normalizing this because this is a very normal thing that we have to go through. And it doesn't need to be a big deal. We're talking about bodies. Like we're talking about natural processes. So I felt it was really important to represent it in a way that's not dramatic either.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it doesn't, I mean, it was dramatic in the process of going through it, but like,
it's a dramatic, difficult decision.
Yeah.
No matter what.
But also I knew that was the decision. And so I wasn't sitting there, like I didn't need it to be a contemplating moment. That was just that. I just wanted it to be like a conversation piece. And also the amount of 80-year-old men that were like, that's the abortion pill. Like during the movie in different screenings, I was like, good, you're thinking about it.
You hear the whispers. That's so funny.
Yeah.
You get to hear the whispers. And I honestly, it's funny. I don't know. I'll just share also that we don't get enough films with that in it.
Yeah.
Because when people especially people tend to be a little older when they're writing for what I'm trying to get at is we bizarrely, God, I'm stumbling.
Yeah.
When you lose the baby, miscarriage films.
Yeah,
we get a lot of miscarriage films.
Yeah.
And it's so important because that's something very common and natural that is taboo in our society.
Totally.
But we get even fewer where nicely it's not a film about abortion.
Yeah.
It's just this shit happens.
Yeah.
And it's real, and it's normal, and it's human, and it's understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like that is something where I go like, no, it's not a film about abortion, but like it is a big part of it, right? Like I don't know that my dad would have shown up for me in that way if I hadn't gone through that. I'm not grateful I went through that process, but I am so grateful that my dad showed up for me when he knew I needed him.
Yeah. All right. So my wife was right and I was wrong.
What? Okay. Wait.
No, because I thought that you wrote the abortion in just to have an example where your character would need dad. Because the phone call with mom wasn't enough, right? Mm-hmm. Like it just wasn't the emotional connection.
Yeah.
I mean, you just really needed to talk to him. And I thought you might have just invented that scenario.
Mm-hmm. No, that happened.
Because that's what your character would need. But no.
Yeah. It was... And I mean, I remember walking down the streets of Brooklyn calling my mom and also like being terrified to call my mom. Like, who wants to be a young daughter calling her mother, telling her that she's pregnant and has to have an abortion? Like, it's just like not, no matter how you were raised, even if you have the best relationship with your mother, I think that's terrifying, you know?
And there's still stigma around it.
Totally. And like, and also like, that's not a conversation I don't know. I didn't know what my mom's stances on abortion were. Like, I had no idea. We had never crossed that subject line. And so she was very supportive in that phone call. But I found myself like just missing my dad so much. And so when that happened, you know, when I woke up from seeing him in that dream, like it wasn't a surprise at all. Like I knew, I think I just like inherently knew that my dad knew in spirit form that I needed him. And so he showed up.
You're reminding me of the wonderful dreams I had with my grandparents when I lost them, and I would have a grandparent dream. It was always so special to wake up from that and just know that they're still in there. Yeah, no, totally. That just brought me to the night that my dad passed away. My grandma, who on my mom's side, spooked me. She freaking spooked me. I was like with my ex-boyfriend in bed, I think watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I fell asleep, and out of nowhere, my grandmother's face popped in my mind or my face or whatever. And I like sat up and gasped. It was literally just her face. It was like literally spooky, scary. And I was like, thanks. I hadn't seen you in like 10 years and now you're here. What's going on? And then the next morning was when I found out my dad passed. And I was like, what does that mean? Madness. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. All right. So I assume, so we're having so much fun talking about all that. But I don't know what made you switch from shooting in New York. Did you just move to LA and then the production moved with you, the idea of producing it? Yeah. I think I went, this isn't a New York story. And also I'm from the Valley and I love an opportunity to represent the Valley in any way I can. And I was living in the Valley when we were shooting, and I just went like, I don't know. So you moved from New York to the Valley unrelated to the film. You came home. It was time to come home. No, yeah, it was time to come home. Time to leave New York. Yeah, I just like it was May of 2023 when I was like, I'm so sick of restaurants. I'm so sick of like doing this grind. I don't feel as connected to the city anymore. I feel confident that I like do have community in Los Angeles and I just need to find them. And then I moved in August. You did 6 years in Manhattan? Yeah. Basically? 6 years, 6 years in New York? Yeah. I mean, that's you did it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Also like, it was you didn't go for 3 to 6 months and come home. Right. No, I did, and it's like I did 6 years, and then I did 2 or 3 summers in the city. You were in New York when COVID scared the shit out of us. It hit New York so freaking hard. Yeah. And so I was like, and then I spent all of COVID there, and I did not come home because my dad was sick, and so I was like, I can't get anybody sick. I can't get him sick. And so I stayed there the entire time, and I feel like that just aged me 10 years, let alone like put my timestamp in New York just even longer. It was a weird time in New York, but also New York, I was in Park Slope at the time, and like that community just like really rallied together and like supported one another, which was amazing. There was a lot of beautiful stuff then, and the singing out the windows and things. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Absolutely. Or the banging the pots, like just that's right, banging so the pots, beautiful. Yeah. So yeah. Great. All right. So you moved back to LA for a variety of it was everything came together to come back. Yeah. And then when you came back, did you shoot the film pretty soon after that? Oh yeah. I mean, I moved in August of 2023. I think we said, okay, we're really going to do this in October of 2023. And then we shot in December of 2023 in 2 days for, $7,000. And it was just like a labor of love. Like so many people like donated their time, not donated for free, but like really like stepped in and said, I'll do this like super, super micro scale. Like I love this story. I want to support you. And so we like, shot between my apartment, outside of my apartment,
inside my car / my dad's car, and then in my mom's house. So, which is right over here.
which is across this. Well, it's on the nice side. But right. So and then it sounds like it just came together wonderfully in the editing room. And
yeah, I mean, it was a crazy process too, because like I was here, my editor was here, although Venice Beach feels far, so I can't even say here because it's not the Valley. And then my DP was in Berlin, and then yeah, so it was just, we were sending it all over the place. And then I think we got to a place where like I really just kind of trusted the editing instinct. Something that I like have said a lot recently, which is like, I would love to learn how to edit, not because I want people to hire me to edit, because I think it would just make me a better director. Because there were things that the editor would say that I'd be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, but I like would have no idea how he got to that conclusion. And it was about like who should be framed during what sequence and things like that. And then, yeah, like I think we really sat in post, I think, for like 5 or 6 months, because I kept the ending, one, I kept going back and forth on, and two, because I just like wanted to get it right. I wanted it to feel right. And I didn't want to rush with it. And I didn't have a timeline I was trying to hit.
I was going to say, with a personal project, it's up to you.
Yeah. And I wasn't like, I knew I wasn't submitting this film to Sundance. I knew I wasn't submitting this film to Tribeca. Like that wasn't the goal of it. And so I was kind of like, wherever it aligns, and we'll see how that, when it comes to festivals, we'll see how that comes into play. And so it, in that respect, it aligned really, really well, with having our premiere at Dances with Films. But yeah, it was a relatively smooth process.
It's funny, your Valley-based film, which it's just got the element of a love letter to the Valley.
Yeah.
Premiered in New York.
I know.
where it almost could have been shot.
It's so funny. And also, we didn't have a Los Angeles premiere until, oh my gosh, like really this past summer, I think, where like the beginning of our festival run was almost all East Coast festivals. Like I was flying back and forth for festivals a ton. And there was like, we screened at Nighthawk Cinemas, which was like, walking distance from my Park Slope apartment. And so that was like so meaningful to be screening at the place where I saw movies when I lived there. But it was wild to be like, wow, I haven't had a Los Angeles screening and I'm from LA. And then eventually, of course, like this summer that started opening up, but it was weird. I was like, I didn't plan for that. And had I known, I would be over there more, but it played out the way it was supposed to.
Look, there's 14,000 festivals on planet Earth, I hear, according to Film Freeway. And
that's a lot.
I wouldn't even begin to understand how people plan out as if you can plan it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't really get to choose, right? I tell it to people that I produce their films, where I produced a film recently that we just started our submission process, and the writer is kind of like a more of a first time filmmaker, at least on that side of things. And he's like, really curious about where we're going to have our premiere. And I have to keep reminding him, like, we don't get to choose. Like we can hope that it's at certain places, but we're not going to get to choose in the long run.
Yeah. And if you do that thing where you say, okay, we're going to hold it for,
right,
this festival, like what's the logic to it? Because you just don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. I know. And like with me all the time, like I'll just see, I'll do a podcast with somebody, and in my notes that I just copy and paste off our website, I'm like, we did your world premiere?
Yeah.
And then they go, yeah, it was great. And I go, yeah, but I mean, I understand that was just luck.
No, but also like, I don't know, if our world premiere had been, and I'm not just saying this, but if our world premiere had been at this festival, I would have been more than delighted. You guys have been incredible, and like really have made the filmmakers feel like, me as a filmmaker feel like a total just like superstar. And like that's so important, I think, because I've done other festivals where you feel just kind of like one of the films, which is very weird because so many people submit to festivals, or you just don't feel like actually anybody watched your work.
Sometimes I haven't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can tell.
Right. And so, and like I had somebody recently at a film festival who, I'm not like a generally angry person. This person made me very angry in front of people, where the only question he asked me, like, the way that he phrased, first of all, the question of like, who are you? What's your film? And I was like, okay. I was like, we couldn't even do an introduction. All right, we'll start there. And then he was like, so what, tell us what inspired your film. And I was like, okay. And then the only question he asked me is, has your mother seen this film? And I was like, as you can see from the film, the dynamic between my mother and I is very difficult. And he followed that up with, well, do you think you're going to show your mom? And I kind of like laughed and like looked at him, and he was like, you might. And I was like, yeah, I'll be sure to let you know. And he was like, oh yeah, shoot me an email. And he like thought I was riffing with him, but I was like not having it. Cause I was like, did you watch the film? If you did watch the film, you know that this is a super disrespectful question, and also not at all what the film's about. I'm happy to talk about anything, but the fact that it was the only question he asked, I was like, yeah, you didn't watch this.
I mean, that strikes at my heart as a festival programmer and someone who moderated every Q&A for the first 8 years of 2 festivals, and now has been forced into retirement because now that we're on 3 screens at once, like someone has to.
Sure.
I had to become a fucking manager. It's a bummer, but that's not even about the movie.
Right.
That's a very personal question.
Right.
And yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah, and it's like, again, I actually don't mind that question if you had asked me something thoughtful before that question.
Yeah. If it's about the film and respecting the film. By the way, that's the kind of thing. But that's the kind of thing. I assume there was a camera. This sounded red carpety or something.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it was during the Q&A.
Yeah, during the Q&A, exactly. That's the question you ask after the Q&A.
Right.
Then you turn. By the way, I'm just curious.
Yeah, where I go like,
has mom seen it? Which again.
Yeah.
Whose business?
And he's not the only person who asked me that question, but the other person who asked me that question led like a 15-minute Q&A with me, and then he asked like that question in a much more like generous and thoughtful way at the end. And I kind of joked, I was like, I've been getting that question a lot recently. And then like I was like, she knows this film is out here, and she's read the script, like she helped produce it, like it's there. I don't actually know if she's seen it. Like it's available for her to see. She's not been to a screening that I know of. But I'm not uncomfortable having that conversation.
Also, I could think of 1,000 things to say right now, but if you want, we can move on. But also, they're not even acknowledging that for her, this is going to be heart-wrenching to see the person she loved on screen again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's so a lot of fucking people don't realize that parents are lovers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's, it's very whatever.
I mean, I know that after we talked after she saw the trailer, when we released the trailer for the first time before we started doing our festival run, and like she like called me in tears, and it wasn't because she was angry. Like she was calling me.
She misses him.
Yeah, because it's like, and also she's proud of her daughter. Like
no
matter what, like she misses her husband, and she's proud of her daughter who's making something about the 2 people she loves most in the world.
Yeah, and you both miss him. I mean, it's just. That's family business, man.
Yeah. No, it was wild. And it was also like, we were in a screening with like, I was with like 2 white dudes, one who made like a comedy about in being in therapy, and then like the therapist starts hitting on the woman, and then the other one was like a very long feature that like needed some cuts. And
nothing like having your work put with.
Right. Something that like was not at all like, there was, the programming decision was wild. I'm not a programmer, I can't say, but it was truly thoughtless. And then he asked those guys specific questions. And then I was the only person who was like, so what's you? Who are you? What's your... And I was just kind of like,
when a boy mistreats you, it's because he likes you.
Exactly. Nice.
Apologies. Little callback.
Exactly. That'll be in the film. This 80-year-old programmer. I
mean, honestly, it's he was 80 too.
He's probably not 80, but he felt 80.
Might as well be. He's spiritually 80.
Spiritually 80.
Fucker. All right. So anyway, I can calm a.
That's a dad thing to say.
Is it?
Yeah.
I guess so. Maybe. The things we gotta.
I know.
Things we.
Yeah.
Congrats on the shit you got to put up with.
Thank you.
Congrats. I'm congratulating you that you handle it with grace and aplomb.
Thank you.
Cause,
I try.
Because Lord knows.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right. So.
Yeah.
And I am going to assume after these two films, like now you've really, like now are you champing at the bit to make more?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have a feature finished that I have this amazing director, Nora Pfeiffer, attached to. She's unbelievable. She had a feature that I saw at a festival, Another Happy Day. I guess it was the festival that Runaways was in. We met there. And then I was like, so, I have this rom-com that I think that you might like. And we immediately hit it off. Like, I had met her before I even saw her film. We met in the audience of another screening. And we just hit it off, and then I saw her film, and I was like, oh, it's a dark comedy about postpartum depression. I was like, oh, we stylistically have a very similar tone, at least in what we're trying to achieve and what we're trying to make people feel. And so we've been working together on And Yet officially, And Yet is the name of the feature, for officially, I think for a year and a half now. She's been helping me with notes, and we're gonna really kind of hit the ground running, shopping it around right now. I have friends who are interested in creatively producing it. Obviously, financing is just a nightmare right now everywhere. And on so many levels, and I see it because it's my job, and but I really would love to see this get made. And then the other thing that I'm really focusing on is I am starting to write something about my mother and addiction, and I hate to say excited about writing this, but I am.
But you need to.
Yeah, but I need to, and it feels like the most pressing thing on a heart level to write. Just like Wait to Tell Mother felt like that. This feels like this on a larger scale, and I met with this amazing producer for coffee a few weeks ago, and I pitched her the full idea, and she was like, oh, you got to write that. So that's kind of where my head is at right now. But I'm also just I'm craving to be acting again, and I'm craving to
That
be
was my next question is back in LA, were you also, doing the audition thing? And
yeah.
yeah. Although you've been busy with your own projects.
I mean, it's a lot. I've been told by so many people. I've been told by my manager, that right now the way to book work is to create work, and I do believe that 100%. It's part of the reason I end up producing a lot for other people, because I want to do that for them. I want to help them create the thing that makes them feel like they're putting themselves out there. I am missing acting where I don't have to be a producer, because my brain does not turn off. I'm full-time in producer mode 24/7. And so I would love to just be able to step into the acting space again. I think that would also be healing for me as a very trained actor, to not have to think about all of the things. And I am missing directing as well, but I don't know. When I did Wait to Tell Mother and I did all of the things, I wrote, acted, produced, direct, and that was on a small scale, that was so difficult. And so I want to be able to with the things I write, I hope that I'll be able to act in them. Although I know how hard it is to sell a script with yourself as a writer attached. Although Ava Victor did it for Sorry Baby, and we love her. And we love that movie. And
the world's changing. We don't know. You don't want to stand in the way of it happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the odds of it happening with you attached are probably, the math is different.
I'm a big believer in surrounding yourself with the people who believe in you and believe in the way that you intended, supporting the way that you intended it to be seen. And the people that I found, people like Nora, who will direct And Yet, she believes in me being the lead in that film. And we will go and we will try to package it, and we will do all the things that it takes to sell a movie. But she sees me, and she sees why I wrote this movie. It is a love story about meeting the right person at the wrong time, and it specifically takes place after the death of her parent. And so, and it is very much based on what I went through, which is being a complicated and messy person after my dad died, and contemplating throwing my relationship out the drain for somebody that I saw on the same street corner for many years. But I love stories like that because it reflects something messier and more complicated about the human experience and about love. I just don't see that. Like, I wanted to write something for the younger version of me who grew up on these highly fantastical rom-coms, and shows and see that like that can still exist and it can be more complicated. So I want to surround myself with a community of artists that like are like Nora, that say, well, let's try it with you in it first, you know?
And you are barking up a wonderful tree, because if there's one thing I've learned after having programmed 20 festivals, is that if you tell a story that is specific and true to you, the more specific, then it's a universal story that everyone sees themselves in. Yeah. Whereas if you sat down and write a generic rom-com, everyone's like, no. Yeah. It doesn't do anything for me.
Oh, totally.
But it sounds like you really do focus on truth, which makes it universal.
Yeah, maybe to a fault, I don't have an issue talking about like the messier parts of myself. And I'm not really, I have nothing to hide.
I know when people say TMI to me, I'm like, what the fuck is that? What do you mean too much?
Yeah.
It's not too much.
Listen, I put my entire like history on a screen for 11 minutes and 33 seconds. Like, I'm not shy about it. And also, I was so bullied as a child that it like does not matter at this point. I'm like, I'll tell you anything about any part of my life. Like, I can admit I was a huge liar. I also was a really bad liar, but I told crazy lies because I needed something from the attention that I was getting at the time. I'm so therapized. It's crazy.
It's interesting because I got a kick out of the kid's lying phase, where she thought that if whatever she said we'd believe. Like I'll go, I actually don't believe that your friend's grandma's 900. And she goes, but she is. And I'm like, see, now that argument doesn't work.
Right.
Go figure.
My dad was the same way. He'd test me and he'd be like, oh, really? And he'd like engage me in the conversation. Yeah.
And I'd be like, did your friend say that?
Right.
Or are you repeating something? Whatever. It's
my favorite was that when all the Harry Potter movies came out, I told everybody that Emma Watson and I were the same person, but I had to change my last name and my accent for security reasons. And I like really stayed committed to the bit.
That's pretty sophisticated.
Not that I look like her at all, but I was like, no, this feels like something that people would believe. And so I told everybody, like, I was like, yeah, I mean, like, it's, it's no big deal. Like,
no, and anyone named Emma, all the Emmas on earth are Emmas.
Exactly.
That was in Last Temptation of Christ for some reason. I remember there was like,
really?
Yeah, it's like you were married to a Mary, you can sleep with any Mary on earth, or something ridiculous Satan said to the J Dog.
Incredible.
I just said J Dog. That's so classy of me.
The J Dog.
I should not be myself on this.
I love that.
Sorry. All right. Well, wonderful. And we've got your social media and stuff that we can make clickable links in the show notes.
Brilliant.
But any website or anything else you want people to be aware of?
My website, which is probably the thing that tells people what I'm like most actively up to, is just emmasteiger.com. So not that hard unless you think my last name is the way that Jeff pronounced it a million times before we started recording.
But we're not only because you planted it.
I did plant it.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Because I had it right.
You did. You absolutely did. Tiger with an S. Just remember that.
Tiger with an S.
Yeah.
Although, just whatever. All right. I'll wrap us up by first, thank you, Emma.
Thank
you for coming in person. Zoom is always good, but eye contact.
I love
that
eye
contact. Yeah, we made it through COVID.
I appreciate an in-person opportunity. Everything is virtual. All my meetings are virtual.
And odds are you got a good mic at home, but come on, music.
Oh, no, I don't have this mic at home.
Oh, excellent. There we go. We're going to sound better, too.
Amazing.
All right, everyone. If you are listening to this podcast, then you know that we interview filmmakers who are on the festival circuit. If you want to learn more about it, go to discoverindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFwins. If you write to us on social media, just know that I quit social media in January of 2025, which means I've now been off social media for a year.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah. There's these things called books I started reading, like by accident.
It's
like
helpful.
I didn't quit social media to read a book, but like I quit, and then 4 nights later, someone's on their phone in bed next to me, and I see the book on the nightstand that a friend gave me 5 years ago, and I'm like, I want to read that fucking thing.
There you go.
I started reading. But anyway, so I don't answer social media questions. Karina, my wonderful podcast producer, does. So anyway, So that's discoverindiefilm.com and at DIFwins. If you go to discoverindiefilm.org, that is the nonprofit that runs 2 film festivals in the LA area. Sherman Oaks Film Festival that we hold every December, where we showed Emma's film, Wait to Tell Mother. And by the way, I also love how that line is not in the film when Dad actually says it in the film.
Yeah.
Maybe wait to tell your mom.
Yeah.
Like, I love that you didn't use that line specifically.
And that wasn't the original title of the film. The original title of the film was something stupid like Always. And because that was just the word he said.
That works, but
it
yeah.
works,
but,
but
this,
it's like this, when I said this out loud, because I was like combing through the script being like, I need a title. And then I was like, wait to tell your mom, wait to tell mom, wait to tell mother. And then I said it out loud, and like my co-producer was like, that's it.
It is. It totally is.
It just is like, that's a title.
It totally is. All right, so discoverindiefilm.org is where you can look up Sherman Oaks Film Festival that we hold every December, where we showed Emma's film. And every June, we hold Film Invasion Los Angeles. By the way, they're both in the top 100 best reviewed festivals worldwide out of 14,000.
Heck yeah.
So that doesn't suck to have two of them. And by the way, those 2 festivals are siblings. And last month, their cousin was born on January 16th and 17th. Film Invasion Lima in Peru happened. Yeah. Although actually Emma and I are talking, and that's this Friday.
Oh my God.
And I won't be there.
Oh man.
I don't get to fly down.
Oh.
But
that's awesome.
It's wonderful films, wonderful theater, wonderful place, wonderful city, wonderful team down there, and I'm just it's kind of cool. There's always possibilities of other film invasions happening all around the US, and one person wanted to do it in London, and no one wanted to do the work. And I'm like, well, I'm busy enough with 2 festivals.
Yeah.
6 months apart basically gives me no break.
Oh my God.
But the team in Lima, they're on board. So anyway.
That's awesome.
All right. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for listening.